What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is we're hitting that 100 episode mark and we're just having a blast with what we're doing here. And I just love talking to new artists. And this is one of my favorites in a long time, honestly. I mean, I have a lot of favorites that come on the show, but he was an American Idol contestant and stuff like that. I saw him on there, saw a few of his TikToks, and I was like, this kid's the real deal. He knows what he's doing, and I just love the music that he has to offer. I love his story. And today I got Jon Wayne Hatfield here. John, how are you today, man?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
And not too bad, not too bad at all. I just appreciate you and just any artist, honestly, that comes on the podcast, just sitting here, taking time out of your day to just kind of talk about your story through music. So thank you for being here today.
Dude, of course. Thank you for having me, man.
No, of course. So really kind of just hopping right into the first question, because it's kind of sets up the whole interview and it's just the basic of basics, is where did everything kind of start for you music wise? Because I know for some people it starts the day they were born. They start humming nursery rhymes and stuff like that, and it just progresses from there. But then on the other hand of things, someone like myself, I only started the whole songwriting and producing aspect of things back in 2018. So that was only about 5 years ago. But for you, is where did kind of singing and playing really come about for you?
I mean, dude, to be honest, it didn't come. I mean, it came super early, but it also came super late. To like the music aspect, like playing guitar, playing piano, all that stuff. That actually came pretty early for me. That was just a getaway for me, man. Get away from life and everything that was going on. Sometimes, in my life personally, music was always a huge getaway for me, and I started playing guitar probably when I was seriously playing probably when I was like 11 or 12. And then I think it turned a leaf. I didn't have a voice worth crap. I'm not gonna lie. I had nothing. And then out of nowhere, I won't lie, probably about like I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, okay, maybe I can do the whole singing thing. And I started writing songs because I got tired of learning covers, honestly.
No, fair enough. And I mean, never doubt yourself, man, because I've listened to some of your older stuff to all the way up to what you've currently released. And I mean, you have all the tools to be that storyteller and to be that person that can just sing songs. Cause like you're honestly, you can put yourself in a lineup with 100 different other country artists, whatever kind of artist you want to call yourself. But at the end of the day, when I hit shuffle and like I'm not looking at my phone, it's like, oh, hey, I know when your song's coming on because you have that skill and you have that power to really just tell a story.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, seriously.
No, of course. And I mean, always telling stories and stuff like that. Like, I look up to a lot of huge inspirations in my life, honestly. And that kind of leads into the second question is talking about inspirations. I mean, because I can sit here and tell you Chris Daughtry, one of my all-time favorite artists. He's rock and roll. But then, I mean, you get into country and you start listening to Garth Brooks, Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs. I mean, I can go back to Travis Tritt and Tim McGraw and kind of all them. But for you, is who are some inspirations that kind of you really look up to when it comes to music?
Dude, to be honest, like to be completely honest, inspirations for me is a hard thing.
Yeah.
Just because most people I look up to aren't much, like they're not on the huge scale like Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen. They're I mean, yeah, I look up to them people as, maybe I'll be that one day, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I look up to the people that are growing and working their tails off, dude, to get where they're at. That's who I look up to because that's who I aspire to be. I got a few friends here in Nashville, they're up and coming artists. Like, I mean, I look up to Andrew Janakis.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. I look up to smaller artists that are just like grinding their way through this whole industry and just making a name for themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's really what a lot of people sometimes don't understand about the music industry is it's hard to really get out there and make a name for yourself. It's hard because you sit there and you want to hit the post button, but at the same time as you're hitting that post button, there's 100 other thousand artists hitting that post button at the same time as you. So it's really hard sometimes, and the grind is difficult. But those are some artists too that you really have to sit there and like praise and get inspiration from because they're putting in all the work. They're doing what they need to do. And honestly, at the end of the day, is writing music and playing music is as long as you're having fun with it, that's really what the key thing is sometimes, is just being able to sit there and tell a story and be able to do what you love to do.
dude. And that's where I pull my inspiration mostly from, is really just watching people grow, and even watching smaller people grow, or just watching people just get somewhere where they never thought they could. And I'm like, dude, it's possible. That's where I pull my inspiration from, man.
Yeah. No, and that's awesome because like I always live by a quote, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And that just really has always been instilled in me. And it's honestly going back to 2018, kind of lead into this next question, is how I wrote my first ever song was about losing my grandfather back in 2018 when he had passed suddenly. And then I slowly, a few months after that, I started writing. I just needed to get it all out. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I just sat there, and an hour and a half later, this whole song came about. And the creative process is just really cool and unique sometimes, whether it comes out in an hour, if it takes a few months, a few days, whatever. And it's always one of my favorite questions to ask. But like for you, you have so many great songs out there. I was jamming out earlier before we were getting ready for this interview and stuff, listen to some, like I said, some of your older stuff, some of the newer stuff. But kind of for you, is what is your creative process like when it comes to writing music? Because as an artist, there really is no rhyme or reason. And there kind of really is no playbook on how to write a song. But for you, where does everything kind of come about?
You know, it's a tough question for me still, a little bit. Mostly because, listen, I was so young when I started this. I was 18 when I started putting out music. I was turning 18. So a lot of the stuff that I have put out, some of it, I'm proud of all my music, but some of it I'm not as proud of. It just wasn't who I wanted to be yet, and it wasn't like it wasn't telling the stories that I want to. And something that I've grown to learn, and I've learned a lot from the whole American Idol experience. I've learned a lot from living in Nashville for the last year. Learning to tell my story the way I want it told, man. And I can't wait to get out some of the stuff I have ready, just because it's who I want to be, and not what the internet wants me to be or who people think I should be. And it's telling the story that I want to tell. And back then, I just felt like I couldn't tell that story yet because I wasn't ready, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's really what it's all about, is just being you and being authentic to yourself. Because at the end of the day, is when I write songs and stuff, at the end of the day is I want to write that one song. Yeah, it would be great for 1,000 people or millions of people to listen to it and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I want that one or two people to just be able to connect with that song and be
Yeah.
like, hey, like this really just hit me different. Like I love your story. It reminisces with me and stuff like that. That's what it's all about.
Well, getting out for me was a big thing. Like living by myself, finally going, traveling everywhere, meeting all these people. It really made me be able to open my story to myself. Like back then, I was kind of scared of my own story, dude. I didn't want to tell it. You know what I mean? So I would write love songs, or the stupid little, you know, hit me songs, or like, dude, now every time I sit down with a guitar, I want to write something to make somebody feel what I went through or what happened, or, somebody that's going through the same problem. Like, that's just,
Yeah, no, and that's what it's all about. Because like when I wrote this first ever song about my grandfather, like I never thought anything would ever come of it. Like I just needed to write it all down on a paper, and then all of a sudden like I started sharing it with a few people. And I remember it was last year at some point I was sharing it with someone that didn't even know, like he's a family friend of ours, but he didn't know I was into the whole writing and producing aspect of things, and had shared it. And his father had just passed away like a few weeks before that. And we sat there and listened to the whole song. And he's like, if I had heard this 2 weeks ago, I would have had that playing as we carried his casket out and stuff like that. And that's really what hit me, and just said, this is what drives me to do what I want to do. Because he sat there and cried, and that really just hit me because it hit him so hard too. And that's the stories I want to share with people.
yeah, I completely get that, man. Seriously.
Yeah, and getting to the fourth question here, it's always one of the hardest and most difficult questions I ask, and I kind of said it before we hopped on air, is at the end of the day, there are hundreds and thousands of artists out there trying to make a name for themselves. Obviously, you're trying to do what you're going to do, I'm trying to do what I'm going to do, and at the same time, it's hard to really get your name out there sometimes, and to really be like, hey, like this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to tell, and this is who I'm trying to be. But at the end of the day, with all these other artists out there, is what makes you compared to all these other artists, and what can we kind of take away from your music that we're not going to find in other artists' music?
I mean, dude, to be completely honest, that is like one of the toughest questions to answer for an artist at all. But I mean, what I've found out about myself in the last couple of years is that I don't want to take a hardcore path during like it's just something about me. I love so much music and so much different kind of feel music that like I'm not gonna just sit here and take a pop country path, a hard country path, you know, rock or nothing like that. Like I write music. Doesn't matter if it's rock country, pop country. I write music to make you feel something, and it doesn't matter what it is. I'll put it out. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna put it out.
No,
It doesn't
absolutely.
matter what kind of music it is, man. If I
Exactly.
feel it in my heart, and I know somebody else is probably gonna feel it in the heart. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. I'm gonna put it out.
No, exactly. And I always tell people too, is it really just kind of brings something up, is there's sometimes when you're on the highway, I'm not sure how highways are worldwide, but usually up here in Boston, there's 4 lanes on the highway. And I tell people there's 4 lanes for a reason because you can switch. You don't have to just stay in that country pop. You don't have to just stay in that country rock. Like whatever version that you think you are, there's so many lanes for you to switch up and do what you want to do and just drive at the pace that you want to drive. And if you want to hit pedal to the metal and just release what you want to release, that's what you got to do. You got to hit the gas, go 100 and say, here's everything. This is what we're doing. But I just never box yourself into what you're doing because there are so many endless opportunities that you can take.
Yeah, man. That's my honest opinion, man. I don't put out music just for to get on the radio. I don't. I could care less sometimes about the radio, but it is a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ever did, bless that. You know what I mean? But I put out music just so people, dude. I mean, I don't even care honestly if I was to make it, to that status of Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs. I mean, I just want to make it to a status where I'm very happy with myself, my career. I can support myself for the rest of my life. Like that. I'm just happy putting out music that people love and can connect with, and I just love keep writing for it, man, and just keep writing and pushing that's it.
Honestly, I mean, you can't say it any better. Like, I don't have any words to really add on to that because that's what it's all about. Like, yeah, it would be great to have millions and millions of dollars and have everyone know your name when the minute you walk out your front door. But at the same time, you really just have to sit there and do what makes you happy and do what you love to do because that's really what I look for in artists. If they're doing it out of the love for music and to connect with an audience and it makes them happy with what they're doing, then at the end of the day, like that's what an accomplished artist is to me, is someone that's just saying, hey, like I love writing music, I love releasing music, and I hope you guys love the stories that I'm sharing and that you can connect with.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, so kind of getting to the fifth and final question here is talking about your future a little bit. Obviously, you have a bunch of songs out. Like I said, I was jamming earlier to Tell Me Ray, obviously you and me, and then I think what was there was one more that I was jamming to earlier. There for you. I love that, like those three, I would say top three for me from all the music that you've released and stuff like that. But kind of looking for short-term and long-term goals, just what else can we expect down the road from you?
Dude, short-term goals, get on the road. I want to get out, dude. I want to get out and play some more shows, and just get my music out to some more people. And long term, man, I just never want to stop writing, man. That's my biggest passion, man. It's like I have so many songs that I can't wait to put out that are going to show a lot of more people who I actually want to be and who I actually intend to be in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to young me putting out things that God, sometimes I don't even, I wish weren't out sometimes.
No,
but,
yeah.
but man, I think long term goals, man, is just to find myself and I mean, not find myself, but you know what I mean? Like I know who I am now compared to who I was then. But like my long term goals, man, is just to keep living life and writing good music, really.
Yeah. No, and I mean, amen to that. You can't say that any better. It's just that's what you want to do. And honestly, once you start hitting the road and stuff, once you're up here in Boston, obviously I'll be in the front row jamming out to whatever you're singing, whether it's covers, originals, all that fun stuff. And I mean, like I said, man, you are just super talented. You're definitely one of my favorite artists listening to right now, and I just love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what else comes from you.
Dude, stay tuned, man. We got some good stuff coming this year, and thank you so much for having me, man.
No, of course. So kind of before I do my little outro here and stuff, we're gonna take a little listen to a song that you have out, which is Tell Me Ray. Kind of before I play a little bit of that, could you just give us a little background on how this song kind of came about and just what this song means to you?
Uh, yeah, I'll give a little short story. So the song really came about. Lost my grandma almost 4 years now, and my grandpa, I lost him as a best friend for like a year and a half. And he wouldn't talk to me, and then he finally opened up to me and started talking to me about just life and what's going on, and just who he was, and I kind of wrote the song just to tell him and everybody, not just him. Well, at the moment, it was just for him. It literally was. I didn't write it for anybody else. I wrote it for him personally and never sang it again. And it was just a song telling him, in a short term, don't mind my language. If somebody doesn't accept you for who you are, fuck that person.
Yeah.
And that's literally what my opinion is. If somebody doesn't accept you for your beliefs or what, gay, straight, it doesn't matter to me. Like
Exactly.
I don't care. You've had that person by your life for, God, I'm 21 years old. I've had him by my side for 21 years.
Yeah.
It's about not letting one thing change your whole opinion on somebody. Like don't let it phase you in a way. You know what I mean? And I wrote that song telling him it was okay to talk to me about anything because it's not going to change the way I feel.
Exactly. No, and that's honestly what I love so much about that song, just because the story and the meaning behind that. It's so powerful. And we honestly need that more in life because some people honestly sit there and they bottle everything up and they don't talk about what's going on because they're afraid of how other people are gonna see them and what they're going to do and judge them, and they're afraid of stuff like that. But it's okay to open up and speak your mind and say, hey, like, this is what's going on, and I hope you don't see me any differently.
Yeah, that's exactly what, dude. I've told that story 100 times now, and it never settles with me the right way because I feel like I can't tell it all.
Yeah.
Sometimes because there's so much to say, you know what I mean? And I just kind of let the song do the talking because there's so much to say on it.
No, absolutely. And I mean, kind of without further ado, let's take a little listen to Tell Me Ray.
Tell me, Ray, why don't you face your fears and you hold back your tears? Tell me, Ray, tell me, Ray, why did you wait so long to tell me what was wrong? Tell me, Ray, tell me, Ray. 'Cause if I knew what was wrong, I could help you move on. 'Cause you can't do it all yourself. Had plenty of time, so keeping me in mind. And tell me, Ray.
So that's a little sneak peek right there. Obviously, that's out on all streaming platforms. Tell Me Ray. And I mean, man, like I said, I mean, just talking about that and then just listening to it, it pulls at the heartstrings a little bit just because of the story that it tells. And it's so powerful. I love that song. Like I said, I love the stories that you tell. And again, man, I just appreciate you taking time out of your day to sit here and share your story through music with me.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me on. I got back just in time. I was kicking ass at golf.
Hey, no, that's okay. I mean, I'll let the golf course slide sometimes, even when it comes to the podcast. But I mean, you said you were out there kicking ass and banging shots, so like I'll take it, and it is what it is. But again, man, just thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here.
Dude, thank you for having me.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new music, new stories, new artists. Never know who's going to pop through. So y'all stay tuned for next week, and thanks for tuning in today.